If there's any movie that is made for the big screen, without a doubt, that is Godzilla vs. Kong. This is a must-see movie on the biggest screen possible because I believe that seeing it on the biggest screen possible is the only way to truly appreciate this movie on any level. It could be the deciding factor whether or not you dislike the movie or love it. But be safe about it. If there are theaters open up near you and you feel safe enough to go, then do it. Otherwise, it is available on HBOMax to see at home. And this was a fun movie. I had a really, really good time. It was entertaining as hell, and there was a lot of kaiju action. Much like Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I feel like was jam-packed full with so much kaiju action scenes, and Godzilla vs. Kong is on that same level of entertainment. There is a little bit of an asterisk because as to the plot of the movie, I do think that this movie does require you to maybe turn off little pieces of your brain, because as I was thinking about it and as I was seeing the plot develop, the plot itself felt a little bit cartoonish with the mustache twirling villains, some of the world building, and some of the reasons that things are the way they are. Some people might argue that they took very convenient or easy ways out. I thought it was just very simple, very kind of accepted at face value, which in a way reminded me of more simplistic cartoonish action TV shows or movies. They're not trying to present a type of Christopher Nolan narrative or something with Oscar caliber writing behind it. It is simpler. It is meant to just be fun, but some amazing titans and action scenes that are thrilling as all get out. An issue with this movie, as many critics and fans have said, is that there are too many human characters. There are too many humans that you really don't give a shit about. However, not all of them are bad. I will say the three standout human characters for me in this one were Millie Bobby Brown, where she carried over from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and no matter what she's in, she's a phenomenal actress. She's so charismatic. She gives it her all, and I see that in her performance. Even if every plot element she's involved in isn't amazing, but she herself did a really great job. Tyree Henry was also a standout for me. He's used a lot of times as the kind of comedic relief, which could have been such an eye-rolling character, honestly, but given the right material and given the actor, he really did deliver his performance, and he really was entertaining and engaging. And then my final favorite human character was a newcomer, Kaylee Hoddle. She really impressed the hell out of me, especially given that she is an actual deaf actress. The character is deaf, as quickly established within the beginning of the movie. That's not really much of a spoiler, but I love that they actually cast an actual young deaf actress, and she did a phenomenal job. So adorable. A lot of the more emotionally charged scenes with any human characters involve her, so she did a really great job at doing that. And as for everyone else, all of the other human characters are either meh or a complete waste of screen time. But as for the kaiju, as for the titans, oh my god, the fights, the action scenes, the effects are amazing. They are so intense, and we saw it on a huge screen. Again, try to see it on the biggest screen possible as you can. There were so many moments that stressed me the fuck out. So much destruction. I couldn't believe, like we're not even talking about the body count. It's like, how many thousands of people would have died in this city? You have skyscraper after skyscraper, no shits given, just being destroyed. Of course they're not going to touch upon any type of body count in this otherwise family-friendly movie. But the scenes were handled tremendously between Godzilla versus Kong. Yes, it felt over the top at times, but in the best possible way. It was amplified. And that's what you want going into this movie. You are here to see Godzilla and Kong battle it out, and those scenes delivered. Absolutely 100%. I was not disappointed, if not completely impressed by everything that was established and presented for them in terms of action and fighting. And to me, by accomplishing those scenes and establishing that dynamic so successfully, that's the point of the movie. So they nailed the point, so I can forgive whatever flaws come along, because for the most part, the majority of the movie, we do get these action brawls. And there are so many of them throughout the entire movie that keeps you actively entertained from start to finish. But to that end, I will say, when comparing Godzilla versus King Kong, I do feel that the movie does take a one-sided approach, and I feel like it gave all sympathy to King Kong, and there was hardly any love or sympathy given to Godzilla, which did feel very inconsistent for me coming from Godzilla King of the Monsters, where it kind of set him up as the protector and alpha and a good kaiju. So I was disappointed in that regard because Godzilla King of the Monsters left me a major Godzilla fan. They do brush strokes of explaining the why behind Godzilla and Kong and why Godzilla acted the way he was, but much like so many of the plot elements, it was very simple. It was kind of like accepted at face value, so I wasn't fully satisfied with that because I'm a Godzilla fan. Now, when breaking down the plot, yes, it has its issues, but I will say I loved the mythology building around the kaiju, and it presented some of the most breathtaking visuals that I was not expecting going into this movie. I was shocked and surprised many times at where they were taking us and where they were going, and I feel like they did expand the mythology similar to how they expanded it in Godzilla King of the Monsters. I felt like they expanded it even further, and it worked for me. And I feel like by diving into that mythology, it gives reason to continue this monsterverse, because I feel like there are a lot of stories that they could continue to tell because the mythology with the kaiju, I feel like, has been handled very well. Now, as I said earlier, this film kind of takes a semi-simpler, cartoonish approach to certain story elements. I can't go into specifics for spoilers because there are many things that I could spoil, but some of the executions did feel like, okay, I feel like I've seen that on a Saturday morning cartoon with the mustache-twirling villain and their evil plot, and this is how they're doing it. And they might give an explanation, but I feel like we need at least 3 explanations behind that explanation because I feel like the logic is not quite there. But this movie isn't trying to be an Inception or Interstellar. It's meant to entertain, it's meant to be big, it's meant to be out of this world, and I could accept that. So by tempering your expectations, I think you can really enjoy this movie, much like I did. I think another thing I will say is that the acting overall was good. Sure, a lot of the characters still weren't very interesting, but for the most part, I'd say the acting itself was good with what they were given. Like, they were giving it their all with the material that they had. There was only a couple performances that genuinely had me roll my eyes or make me wonder, why the fuck are you here? As for my ranking of this monster universe, of course, it started with Godzilla 2014, and then it was Kong Skull Island, then Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now Godzilla vs. Kong. I will say that I still think Godzilla King of the Monsters is my favorite of those 4. I do feel like even though there are like cartoonish plot elements with humans between that one and Godzilla vs. Kong, I do feel like a number of the characters were fleshed out better in Godzilla King of the Monsters. I felt like there was more emotional depth and there were more higher stakes, and there were moments with the humans besides the kaiju. The kaiju were fantastic, but with the humans specifically, there was more that kind of hooked me in and got me on board. But then Godzilla vs. Kong would be my second favorite, right next to it, honestly. And those would be my top 2 favorites of the 4. So as long as you go into this movie not expecting an Oscar caliber script, maybe turning your brain off at times, or accepting that a number of the plot elements, especially involving the humans, are going to be a little bit simple or convenient, then I think you will enjoy the hell out of this visual spectacle, because the action scenes, the kaiju, the mythology building with the kaiju is fantastic and was so entertaining from start to finish, and again, stressed me out seeing it on the big screen, just being in the middle of that battle. And if they continue more of this type of trend with highly entertaining kaiju movies, I'd be happy to see a lot more going forward. I'm going to give Godzilla vs. Kong a B+. And that's my review for you. You can currently see Godzilla vs. Kong in theaters or on HBOMax, whichever you prefer. Again, I recommend seeing it on the biggest screen as you can, but be safe about it and only do what feels comfortable to you. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts and opinions about this movie, so feel free to leave those down below. As always, thank you all again for tuning in, and until next time, I'm Ryan Bamey, signing off. Bye, everyone.